Welcome to the Everything After Podcast. I'm your host, Rob, and I'm very excited to have as my guest today Ruby Rose Weston of the band Cowboy Princess Brigade. I had the pleasure of being introduced to this Cleveland-born band recently as they performed at the Foundry Concert Club in Cleveland, the two other very unique bands. In addition to bringing an incredible vocal style, Ruby plays ukulele for the CBP, which also features guitar, bass, drums, fiddle, and trombone, and blends country, jazz, bluegrass, and rock and roll. Ruby, thanks for being here. I'm a big fan, and I just love your band.
Rob, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's great. So that show that you played recently at the Foundry, you were with a couple other bands. You were with a band called Super Secret Cult Band and Charming Disaster, who's also been on the podcast before, and just really incredible people and just really incredible, unique artists. What was that show like for you? Being in the audience, it was just electric for me. Just the whole night was just so fun.
Well, to share the stage with such incredible bands, and both of those bands are smaller bands, so they have, for such a big sound with so few people, it's just really inspiring. And Charming Disaster in particular have just had such an amazing impact on me as a Cleveland transplant, and meeting them shortly after I moved to Cleveland and just being so entranced by their stage performance and what they do and how they take music, and just like they just have a really interesting approach to their live performance, and extremely inspiring. And the same with Super Secret Cult Band. They are just so much fun, and they, of course, like the theme is music, right? We're all here to watch music and enjoy these live performances, but both of those bands in particular really inspired me to expand on that and create more of like a production and a show. So that was really exciting. So I'm glad that you were there to enjoy it. Because I did. And the Foundry, the new Foundry is so great too.
Yeah, what a cool venue. It really was nice there. And like you said, you're right. The performance part of it was so pronounced. There's just such an engagement with the audience, I think, through the whole show. And that's definitely something I've picked up on seeing concerts in the area and in some of the smaller venues that we have and that we're lucky to have in Northeast Ohio, some of the really unique smaller venues. I'd love to hear more about your band and you and how you got started, how you came together with this group of just really eclectic musician, just a really eclectic group that you have. And the sound is so original because I think you bring so many styles and so much personality to the music. Could you tell me a little bit about how you got started?
Well, yeah, of course. I'd love to share with you about that. I come from a long lineage of musicians in my family. So both of my parents went to college for jazz music, jazz performance, and music education. And both sides of my family are extremely musical. I have a grandpa who he played woodwinds in the military band, and that was on my maternal side. And then on my dad's side, I have an aunt runs a really successful operatic music foundation in New York, and my dad is like gigging in bands. He's always had bands. My mom's gigging all the time. My uncle's gigging all the time. So I just grew up with music, and from that, I think really another big part of my journey was my uncle's band. He had a big band called the Nonprofits, and it was, I think, probably like an 8 or 10 piece band, and it was really like a core memory for me because all of the bandmates also had children. So it would be he'd throw these big crazy parties at Thanksgiving and, in the summertime. And it would just be all of us kids just running around. So, this family had 4 kids, and there's all just like tons of kids, 15 kids just running around. And it was all centralized on the music. And sometimes they would bring us on stage with them, just not even to do anything ever in particular, just to like stand there and be a part of the experience. So that, I think, really informed me as far as performance goes, of that kind of communal family aspect of like, we're all eating together, we're all playing music together, we're like bringing food, gonna break bread, and then we're gonna like enjoy this harvest, enjoy this festival, enjoy this like time that we have. So I think that was a huge part of like my journey as far as like performance goes. And then musically, I've just like, we always had a piano around. My mom would sing us to sleep and wake us up to her playing music on the piano, and just took to it at an early age.
That's
So
amazing. I love that. Musical family. I love how music brings family together, brings community together. I think that that's incredible that you grew up with that. And it's that heritage and that richness comes across in your performance and in your voice. So, how
thank
did
you.
you end up with the group that you're in now, Cowboy Princess Brigade? And have you had other musical projects ahead of this one, like to do some solo things? Were you with other groups?
Yeah, so I my first band like out of high school, because of course I was really involved in music in high school, and I didn't actually go to college for music, but right out of high school I was in a duo for a little while that we did a lot of jazz standards, and we that was more of like my senior project was like a trio, and we produced this jazz album, and it was like a 6-song jazz EP. I was 17, and so that was kind of like my first band, very professional, well trained, really incredible jazz musicians, just guitar and upright. So that was kind of like my first ever project, but I was definitely the baby of the group coming in at like that young. I was working with like 40-year-old musicians, and not that that's, not that, but when you're 17, it feels like a lot older. So, and then my first like rock band that I was in was called Memer, and that was a really collaborative time. We didn't have a lot of gigs, but we played music, almost like practiced almost every single day for like a year, and we just were like so in tune, and it was very eclectic because it was mostly two songwriters. It was my songs, and then my friend who played mandolin, his name's Anson, and most of his songs. And then the two other bandmates, bass and drums, also had like some songs too that they would bring, but it was just like a really cool marriage of these, even more eclectic than Cowboy Princess Brigade. But it was really fun, and we were really tight. I was on keys on that band, and as things do, they fall apart. And then after that, I joined a folk and reggae band called That Captain, and we did some tours around the country. Actually, we did some DIY tours around the country, and that was really cool with them, and on a bus, and did the whole thing, every night in a different city.
Yeah.
Got introduced to like the reggae scene, which is such a beautiful, uplifting place to be. And in Northeast Ohio, there's actually a really cool enclave of that same community here, which also ties back to my roots. I'm from Humboldt County, so there's like a really big reggae scene there too. And in like the 90s, early 2000s, there's a lot of Jamaican reggae coming to that part of California. And so I just loved that whole project, but I was also keys, kind of more of a background player. And then in 2019, right before the pandemic, I started a band with two of my best friends called Hill Honey and the Wildcats. And we did like, just like old kind of classic bluegrass country songs, that outlaw country kind of stuff, but like mostly old traditional gypsy jazz. And then I moved to Cleveland in 2022, and like about a year later started Cowboy Princess based on like the jazz scene. And I mean, I would say jam, not jazz, the jam scene in Cleveland. So we kind of picked pieces of and found people, just because the community here is so open and accepting, and like people here just really want to play music, and they're a different level of like talent here too. So that's been like a really awesome learning experience for me, just to like come up and improve on my skill set.
Yeah, I think that's really notable because you mentioned, of course, that you didn't study music in college, but what a musical education you've had. Just the history that you just shared. I mean, you've kind of experienced, sounds like, music on every part of the spectrum. You've been together with this band since when?
The winter of 2023, we kind of played.
Mhm.
I was like, we're Cowboy Princess Brigade, and we were filling in for a friend of mine, Bridget, who plays in Super Babes. She was sick, so she was like, we have this thing at Porch Rocker Fest in Akron. I had never actually even been to Akron before, and she was like, take it. So we ended up taking it, and that was our first show. I think it was like, I don't know, I think like the end of November 2023, and we were just a
Yeah.
trio.
You have a real like connection with these musicians to have been together only 2 years or not 2 years. I think that that's really incredible as well, that you have just great connection and great energy together on stage. How did you find that, or was it natural?
I usually just go with my gut. A lot of this has been totally natural. It's developed. It's definitely developed. Our friendship has expanded, and deepened our connection, our musical connection, as we trust each other more and build that, like, the trust in music, I think, is really important too, because you're relying on someone to know those cues and to remember those cues, and and just also as friends too. It's hard, as I'm sure you could understand, as we're, so connected through social media, yet somehow separated, and we're all getting these very personalized, algorithmic experiences in life every day. And you can literally reach out to anyone that you meet or think of, but we're like isolated and insular in our little, cocoons.
Yeah.
So, not that we're breaking that at all, or like we're against social media, because I think that it's a wonderful tool that we have. Deepening that interpersonal connection too has been a nice, just like developing that friendship here in Cleveland, and just those musical connections has been really
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. I think that's great. Did you want to shout out by name some of your band members? Tell us a little bit about them.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I want to start, of course, with Nate Bokikyo, who is, he is like one of my original collaborators, and he and I started playing music in California, and we were in a little side project, which I didn't even mention, called Ruby and the Skyline Boys, and that's actually my original connection to Cleveland. But Nate's amazing. He plays fiddle and guitar and mandolin. He sings, he writes. He's just
Yeah.
like really a phenomenal musician and instrumentalist, and just like creative partner. So we've
Mhm.
really been like a really solid team, the two of us together. So
What a cool
yeah,
guy.
Nate,
He's got like a bit of an Alice Cooper look, but then he like breaks out that fiddle and it's just like, wow, where did this guy
yeah.
come from? It's so incredible.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's amazing. Nate's wonderful. And so yeah, I'm super, super lucky to have him around. And Jeremy McCabe is on drums, and he's our resident baby of the group, but he is just like so wise beyond his years, and his musical knowledge is so much greater than mine. I learn something from him every single time we hang out, and he recently graduated from Oberlin for jazz performance. John Cox, who plays trombone, he's from Chicago, and he plays in a lot of different bands. He's also just a wonderful musician, and he's got this analytical kind of mind that he brings to the group, which I think keeps us all focused and sort of
Mm,
tasked, because he just has such a way about him he's very organized. And I really appreciate John. Actually, he's one of the first people we met and Nate and I drew into the group, because we were like, well, I've always wanted to have a band with horns. I've never done that. And John
yeah.
he just feels it. For his analytical as he is so creative, and when he lets loose, he just is like on this wavelength that I really resonate with. And when both him and I are in a groove together, it just really sits in a beautiful spot. So yeah, John
Yeah.
is just my heart. I'm just so blessed
Yeah.
that
I
he's in
mean,
my life.
he plays that trombone. It's almost a third, like a third lead vocal. It's almost another vocal coming in, and it's just such a fun surprise when he starts playing.
All of the songs have been elevated to such new heights with John and his riffs, because he's developed like all the horn licks basically, and I've helped. Like we work together, but
Mhm.
a lot of these things have just like been born through the creation of the material, which I think I really love that. So
Yeah.
the improvisation and like being in the moment is a big part of it for me. So yeah, John is just right there in that pocket all the time.
Yeah.
And then we have Prince Tucker, who is, I think you saw him and he was on banjo at the Foundry.
Hmm.
Tucker is just like I mean, I don't even have words. It's such a great multi-instrumentalist, but his main instrument is actually keyboards and piano. So we've been working with him on keyboards for the last few times we've gotten together, and it's really changed the dynamic of the band and filled it out in this like amazing way that I'm really, really, really excited about what we do moving forward, because Tucker has just like he's just amazing, and he's like such a great banjo player also, and
Yeah.
guitar player and bass player and drummer, and he plays the flute as well.
Wow.
He's just like, yeah, it would be easier for me to name the instruments he doesn't play, like so much better than I could even imagine playing. But yeah, Tucker
I
is
think,
just like,
yeah, I think the range that you just discussed, that all of you bring, I mean, you could easily form like nine different bands, like nine different sort of distinct bands and play different styles of music every night.
and I just wanted to mention Freddie Hill too, who plays bass with us, and he's
Oh, yes.
also amazing. And yeah, he also plays slide guitar. He's a great guitar player, but he's really shines on the bass too. But and song, he writes these great songs too. So, but yeah, we do have music. So we've produced two EPs through two different recording places in Cleveland over the last year, and we are currently en route to our third one, and we're working with Chris DeCola from Signal Flow Studios. And so that'll be like, yeah, our three EPs, our trilogy, our trifecta, our triptych.
Do you think would do you think you might put out a full LP at some point, maybe with songs from each of these, or are you just kind of sticking with the EP format, trying to release music? A lot of bands I talk to seem to be focused on releasing music faster and these format, you know, as you write songs, putting together EPs and singles and things like that, rather than making fans wait for a longer time for maybe a full album or something like that. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, he so when we first started the band, 18 months ago or so, it was like January 11th, 2024 was our first like full band show and it really all came together. And so so after that time, and we had a great show. We had an amazing first show. We had like an hour and a half of music. It was like we just really hit the ground running. And after that, I was like, you guys, we gotta get something together so that people know what we're about. So it was
Mhm.
like instantly it was just like we got to get a full band thing because I had been working on some other recordings with a friend of mine, Josh Justy, and we just finished that EP, which is Nuggets of Gold. But I was like, Nuggets of Gold doesn't really represent what's going on with the Cowboy Princess Brigade right now. So I want to get a live recording, just get a small representative idea of what we actually sound like. So that's, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and a little bit of that other thing. So was really just trying to get that out there on Spotify so that people could know what we're doing. And then kind of retroactively finished up this Nuggets of Gold production, which is actually like a tracked, more organized recording, but it's the instrumentation is mostly just Nate and I and Nate's childhood best friend Josh Justy, who has a recording studio in Parma, and he works out of his house, and it's just like this really, it's a more quaint, it's a smaller space. So it took a little bit more time to kind of get that finished. And so it
Yeah.
doesn't I've actually talked to Jeremy about this in the band. He's like, it does the timeline doesn't make sense. You should have done Nuggets first and then dropped Rolling Up Silver, but it just didn't work out like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was like, before we finish this third EP, we have to finish this project with Josh because that started like in 2022 and just took a long time because we're building up this whole repertoire and building the band and building the sound. And so it just kind of came together in a little bit of it's just a bit of a puzzle, fit the little pieces in wherever they fit. And so now we've
Yeah.
got the last EP in the triptych, and I don't think that we're going to do another EP. It'll definitely be a live album or a full-length album. I already have basically an entire album's worth of material that I want to put out, but I love these songs, and the live show is so different from the recordings
Yeah.
that I feel like it's going to serve us better as a band to have like probably a live album and then the three CDs or something, but we actually haven't produced any physical media yet. So,
I think that spot on. I think that you are a live band to see live and experience live. And Rolling Up Silver really does represent your sound, I think, very well. I love Easy Come, Easy Go. I think that's such a great song. You know, he played
Thank you.
that at the Foundry, and it was just so fun. So much of your music is just a real party. And I think it's funny, too, because not everything you sing about is like super positive. On the stage, you talked a little bit about you singing some songs about body image positivity, singing about exes. You even have a song that's even more dreadful about dishes and laundry, but somehow you make it all fun and on stage and upbeat. And how do you do that as a songwriter?
That's a great question. It's a great question, Rob. I am just like songwriting for me is just like a way of processing it. I think that like part of my personality and part of my journey has been challenging. I have not had the easiest life. I've struggled to just like wake up happy, like I struggle with sadness and depression at times and getting really down and the state of the world is really impactful for me and um just like dealing with my own journey and just finding that through music and you don't want to, or at least for me it's like I don't want to bring everybody down. I'm not trying to bring everybody down, but I also want to like empower people through music and like and just say, this is where I'm at, but it doesn't necessarily, you don't have to be there forever. And so I'm
Yeah.
trying to write about like empowerment but also acknowledging those dark times.
Yeah, I think you do that. I think that's great. I think those messages are incredible, and I think that it is you do have a very empowering sound, and you reflect reality, and I think a lot of people can relate to where you're coming from. Really relatable. You know, and I love too that you wear costumes on stage. That you encourage your audiences to wear costumes as well. I think to your performances, and I maybe that just brings that whole party vibe to it and everything. And like it's if you really were to like sit and listen to the lyrics and some of these songs and pay attention to that, you're reflecting so many things, but it all comes across as just like a great time.
Yeah, and I think just to speak to that a little bit more is like the journey of being a woman or being a female-bodied person in this world is like it's a challenge. It can be a really big challenge and just like with, the experiences that I've had, it's been trying to come to terms with those things and while maintaining a positive outlook, but like really just like I can't ignore those dark times. And I think that
Right.
I can process those things at least, especially with this batch of music, like process those things in life and like nod to those dark points and that shadow self and be okay with like the duality of life is like yeah, you can be dark, you can be sad, but like don't let that consume you because I have been consumed.
Yeah.
It's not great and I don't want to live there. So
Right.
like I want to be better and I want to experience that. And I think that, I'm hoping that I'm reaching people. I'm hoping that like the music is, yeah, I hope people understand what's happening because I hope I'm not alone.
I felt it. I feel it. From your music. I think it's very powerful. I think that it hits on so many different levels. I really hope that we can help more people to find you and to listen to you because I really think you got something special going on.
Thank you. That's awesome. Thank you so much. I hope so too.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about your fans. I love again on your website it says costumes always encouraged at your shows. And do you have any fun stories about that? About someone coming in a costume or
People are always
something
coming in costumes. It's the best. It's amazing. Yeah. This one wonderful woman came to our show and they had like these cool hats that they had made, like
Mhm.
these cool handmade hats with like crinkled up paper. It was like this really, really creative, like shaped hat and these beautiful dresses and like all this flower print and flow and fringe and glitter and sparkles and cowboy boots and like I don't know. I think that Cowboy Princess Brigade is like an opportunity for you to just like be free.
Yeah.
Like you have a thing that you never wear that is like totally way too extra, and you're just like, oh, I'm never gonna have an opportunity to wear it. Wear it at the Cowboy Princess show.
I love that.
It's gonna be great. Like it's just
Giving
like
permission to be way too
yeah,
extra. I love that.
Yeah. Well, and just like, it's scary to express yourself in any way, I think. And like
Mhm.
we get like, cut into these little boxes and we stay in our little lanes and we go to our jobs and then we come home and like, it's just like it takes a lot. It can take a lot to feel free and to be able to just have that self-expression. And what's an easy way to express yourself is like people look at you all the time. You like cool makeup, you like fancy clothes, like, or whatever, that's like one of the easiest ways to express yourself is through fashion. And I feel like fashion it's like, that's a heavy word. There's a lot that happens in fashion. So I don't want to take it all the way to like that space, but costuming, Halloween's like my favorite holiday. I love dressing up. I just love being loud. I love being loud and sparkly
Yeah.
and I hope that I think the fans really do too. And it's just like a great
Yeah.
way for us all to like just lean into that colorful side of wherever we are and I just be proud, loud and proud.
I love that. That's so great. Yeah. And we all need that. We all need a space where we can feel like we can be safe to just be loud and extra. I think that's amazing that you provide that to people. That's so great, Ruby. I just love it.
Oh, I love dressing up.
Do you have a core set of super fans or anyone you'd like to sort of shout out like that's just like shows up all the time to all of these gigs, all these performances? That's just like really been super supportive of this music project that you're in.
Well, like all of our fans are so amazing, but I'd like to shout out Rhapsody is always there at all the shows. She's like one of my best buddies and she's the freaking coolest. And let's see, Dan Shaw is always coming to our shows. He really likes us all the time, so that's really wonderful. Another friend of ours who's been really supportive. Ryan Foster and Annie are always coming out and supporting us and being there. And there's just so many. My friends from my job are like hanging out, Nick. Yeah, we have a great time.
Yeah,
Grace.
that's awesome. Now, we talked about how varied the influences, the musical influences are on you and on your band as well. Is there a band locally or just if you were to put on your dream hat or whatever, a band that you would love to share a stage with, that you'd love to tour with or perform with, that you think you'd really be in sync with and have synergy with?
Gosh, that's a great question. So I have been like twinkling for a little while. I think that I don't know if you're familiar with Andy Frasco in the UN, but he is amazing. I saw him
Yeah.
at a Sunny Days festival a couple of years ago, and he just brings so much energy to the show. This man travels with an actual upright piano. He's like the dedication of that is just like it just blows me away. And he's so much fun. He's got so much energy. His songs are so good and so catchy. And he's just fun. Like he just like you can tell the entire time him and his band are like hitting the groove. They are in the pocket. They are just having fun like the entire time and it's infectious. Like I didn't know anything about him or his band and I'm like a super fan. Like now I'm just like, "Oh, well, that's so Andy Frasco, if you're listening,
That's great. Well, we'll have
it's
to
your
have you
girl."
on the again sometime when you connect. I think the two of you together, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, but we've had some great collaborations this year. Corey Grinder is also like same kind of music. He's a bit more on the country side, but he's just such a great guy, such an awesome performer and just songwriter. He's so good. And also Post Saga. I don't know if they're listening, but there might be something on the table with Post Saga, and they're just wonderful too. That's
Great.
another local band that yeah, we're hoping to collaborate with. And then like also another pie in the sky, Hello 3D is one of my favorite bands in town. I think they're just like incredible. So I'd love to share a stage with those guys someday.
Awesome. Well, I think we're going to make all of that happen. That's so
Yeah.
great. Sounds great. And I love just manifesting things and just saying, this is going to happen. You've put it out there in the world, and now all those things are going to happen.
I hope so.
I think so. I think so. We're manifesting it right now. Do you have any plans to tour outside of the Cleveland area in the near future? I know you've got some festivals coming up, and if you're in Northeast Ohio, I highly recommend that you try to check out the Cowboy Princess Brigade on stage live. But any opportunities for people to see you elsewhere?
Not currently, but I'm really looking forward to that. I think part of my goal for this year was to create just like situations because we played a lot of gigs last year and some of them were really fruitful, some of them were taxing and draining. So this year I was like, I want to do just my overall manifestation and intention for the year was to create gigs that were, just like soul filling in whatever way that is. If that's just like musically, it's really soul filling. If the crowd is really like there and giving you a lot, if it's financially, obviously that is a big help for musicians too. Um, that always feels good. So
Yeah.
that was kind of my intention. And it was mostly focused on like Northeast Ohio, like getting strong in what we have here with our, like in our base, with our people, in our community. Like, let's just get strong here. And then I think hopefully, like in the winter or maybe in the spring of next year or summertime, we'll have, developed a little tour because I would love to go south and like Cleveland's such a rock and roll town. And we do have like an eclectic kind of mix of stuff we bring. So I think that taking that to other cities, it'll just be like really well received. I've heard Buffalo is also like they call it the cold easy as compared to the big easy in New
Yeah.
Orleans.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking if we like, if we get a little bit farther out, we'll be able to just reach some new people that'll really resonate with it. Just really getting strong here and like tight and strong. And we're sounding better than ever. And we're playing our first like big festival gig. It's my first big festival gig aside from like these are we're playing Taste of Tremont, which is really exciting, but Starwood Festival was like something that just kind of like came out of last year's performances. And that was like when we were still like 4 or 5 months into the band and like really hadn't developed a lot of these songs and really locked in with each other. So before we added Tucker, and he's, like I said before, he's just really added this whole other element that really rounds out the sound of it. So it's just like, it's really coming together in this nice, really nice way that just feels like some sort of stage completion for me as an artist and as a songwriter. So I'm just really, really excited about what happens next because like,
Yeah.
yeah, the music is just like mind blowing. We practiced last night actually, and at one point I forgot the lyrics to my own song because the music was so good. I was just like, I am speechless. I
Yeah,
like
that's so funny.
I can't I didn't even have my own words to say. It was
Yeah.
like so I'm just like another like just so blessed to be working with these people and I'm so lucky and honored and they're just amazing. So
It's great when you're a fan of your own band. That's great. That's great. Are you enjoying the festival circuit? You've played a variety of venues. I'm sure in the short time that you've been together, is there a venue that you've played that's been heads and shoulders above others that you just had so much fun in? Was it in an outdoor environment, like a festival environment, or you've got a show coming up at a cemetery?
well, I would say Spotlight Cleveland has been like my home away from home. The fans there, like the community of Spotlight is just top notch. The owner, Corinne, is amazing. She is just a force of nature. She's one of the hardest working people I know, and she's always there. She's always happy. She's like, she's open, she's willing, she pays the band, she gives us drinks, she feeds us. She's really a welcoming host. And I'm like, every time we play at Spotlight, it's a teeny tiny little venue, but she just comes through for her people and she's great. So, I mean, Spotlight has been one of my favorite places. The Happy Dog is also really, really great too. And I love the owners there and the bartenders, the drinks, like everything at Happy Dog. And it's just like it's really central in Cleveland too. So I think that that's like a really easy place for people to come out to. And so those have been two of my favorite like indoor venues that we've played so far. And what else? We've played a few parties that have been really, really good, like private parties that have been really affirming as well. The Riverside Cemetery is wonderful too. So that's just like a really awesome place to go to because you're surrounded by all these people, living and departed. So it's just it's a heaviness, but there's a lightness to it too. So it's
Yeah.
like, you're holding all that loss and that pain and like the sadness of losing a loved one, because it's a cemetery, obviously. But in life, there's also death, there's also rebirth. The phoenix has been a sign that's been coming a lot lately to me. So,
Yeah.
one thing closing, another door opening. There's so many like old sayings, old tired sayings that you can say, but there's truth in those things too. And like,
Yeah.
I'm experiencing that also in other aspects of my life. So just like you have to close things, you have to end things to allow new things to come in.
Yeah.
So that really, like, the cemetery, Riverside Cemetery, is just like really encapsulates that whole idea for me. So that's just like a great time. And it's so cute. Like the way it's set up, it really is like a festival. You walk down this like picturesque, just this like beautiful tree-lined space, and there's all these, grave sites on the sides, and you have these trees down in this little road, and everybody has, there's like 40 booths, and you can take like, little tours, and it's very interactive and just wonderful. So, and it's a benefit for the cemetery too. So,
Nice.
yeah, so
Yeah.
you go, you support the cemetery. It's the oldest cemetery in Cleveland. And yeah, so that's going to be great. And then Starwood, I'm super excited about too. And it's basically just workshops. So, and that's coming up. We haven't done that one yet, but it's like there's tons of workshops, and then there's music. And then at the end, they have this like whole ritual aspect of it where it's like sort of like a mini Burning Man almost, where they kind of like alight this structure that they create. And it's again, this like phoenix imaging of like you create something so big and it's so important and meaningful, and then you destroy it, or it
Yeah.
is destroyed. Not necessarily that you destroy it, then it is gone. I have like my friend, I remember we were working on a puzzle together for like days. It was like a 1,000-piece puzzle. It was not a huge puzzle, but it was enough of a thing that I was like, oh, let's sit and enjoy it for a little while. As soon as we were done, she took it apart. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, oh my God. And she's like, that's what you're supposed to do. Like, she was like, almost like I was in the wrong. I was like, dude, like, you could at least enjoy it for like 10 minutes. I'm
Yeah.
like, that is joy. That's the
That
joy.
might have like set off some OCD on me as well. Yeah, let me look at it for a little bit. I'm struck by how poetic you are, just talking about everything, music and the duality of life and music. And I think that's just so incredible. I was just thinking about making a joke about the cemetery, about like raising spirits or something like that. But you're like giving it all this like depth and this meaning, and it's so incredible. I wonder, you're being a six-piece band, as you think about like maybe getting out on the road or something like that. I mean, you travel with a lot of gear. Like that's not a real simple setup. Do you have a bus? I think that people should get the full band experience because it's just so incredible. But is there an opportunity, you think, for you to still do maybe things more as a solo artist, or a two-piece or three-piece or something like that, as you look to maybe get out a little more?
Yeah, definitely. We do have a bus. Nate has a bus that he has turned into a little RV space. It's a little bit small for a 6-piece, 7-piece, depending on the day. So we'll see if that ends up working out. That would be great because it runs on biodiesel, and it's just like, it's a really awesome project and place that he's also like a visual and like sculpture artist. So he's created this like beautiful space in there that's really, really cool. So that is an option. We'll see. We'll see how it goes about like getting an actual bus, because it is a fair amount of gear. But that is, I mean, we do have a tool. We have that tool in our handbag right now. As far as like minimizing, or like shaving down some of the parts of Cowboy Princess, definitely part of the Cowboy Princess Brigade too, I think, is that flexibility of like, okay, we're all involved. I mean, this is actually currently my only project, and then I do solo stuff too. Almost, I think everyone else is involved in multiple projects, at least one other project, if not 3 or 5 or 7.
Yeah. Yeah.
So people are busy, people have jobs, like people do host jam nights. Like it's like everyone here is super involved in the music scene in Cleveland. So, and having opportunities of booking these little tours. And, John was just on tour with Land of Panda, and Tucker plays with Toby Raps and Apostle Jones, and like Toby's always going out of state to do all kinds of cool stuff and all kinds of cool shows. And Freddie also hosts a jam night at Spotlight, and he's just like a ringer. He plays with as many people as he possibly can. And so, it always kind of depends on how people are flowing. I personally love having the big band and having that big show. And I think that's what is cool about it, is that I don't
Yeah.
really want to be a solo artist. I
Right.
I love that people want to like resonate with those songs, but like for me it is about the community and about creating that space of togetherness and being able to like provide for, my tiny little my family community, my band, my jamily. That's really important for me. And
Yeah.
also, but it depends, some people aren't available. So some people want to do this thing, some people don't. And it's just a matter of like developing that as we go too, because we are a new band.
Yeah. Well, I think that's great. I think that there's definitely signs that you're growing a really vibrant, a really connected community. I'm so pleased that you've become part of this little community that I'm building with everything
Mhm.
after, with the podcast and photography and things like that. I'm so pleased that I found you and that you can be a part of this too.
Me too.
I really hope people discover you and find you and get out and see you live, because it's just such a electric, just eclectic, just amazing time. Ruby, you mentioned that when we were talking about doing this interview that you might play a little song for us at the end. And I would be so honored if you would do that, share a little bit of your performance with us. And there's your ukulele. I love it. You want to tell me anything about your ukulele before you start?
Well, I've had this ukulele since I was, yeah, for 15 years. And my mom gave it to me. And my little sister also plays ukulele. I should mention also, I didn't mention this, but my sister and I have a duo band. She lives in California, so we don't get to play a lot, but we're called the Stringing Pedals.
The
So,
stringing pedals. Like
yeah,
pedals as in flower petals or
yeah,
bicycle pedals? Pedals,
yeah, Stringing Petals.
petals, flower
Yeah.
petals. Very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, so we both play ukulele. She has a soprano. This is a tenor. It's a tenor cutaway. It was made in Hawaii by the Nalu Ukulele Company, and it's beautiful. I've actually have it strung with a low G string on it. Usually ukuleles have a high G, so that's
Hmm.
how you get that kind of banjo sound almost out of it, and that twinkly, that, very signature ukulele sound. This is actually, I think it gives it a little bit of more depth, and it kind of mimics more of it's like a small guitar
Hmm.
almost. And I comp a lot of chords with it, so I kind of try and play it like a rhythm guitar. So that's kind of a little bit about my little ukulele. Nalu means wave, and it has a little wave on it here in abalone.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it's been all over the world with me. I've taken it like every trip I've ever been on. I've brought this uke with me. Except for one, I brought a bass. I brought an acoustic bass.
That's great. I
Um,
love hearing stories about instruments and relationships with instruments. I think that's incredible. What song are you going to play for us?
I don't know. Do you have a request?
Oh man, that's tough. Do you have something that you're working on that you could debut, or did you want to do something like one of your songs that you just really love to play live, just to give people a feel
Yeah,
for that kind of energy?
I've been working on this new one. It's called Runaway, working title. So it goes. On the right track, must have been the wrong time. Could have been the right move. Well, I don't travel in a straight line. Get on over across the country, one state at a time. Just another runaway, looking for a hot night. Just another runaway, and in the wrong place, wrong time, gone. Well, there were people on the move. get you now. Get you somewhere, somehow. Just another runaway, looking for a hot night. Just another runaway, and in the wrong place, wrong time, wrong time, wrong time,
That was so good. That sounded so incredible. Is that going to be on the new EP?
No.
Oh, so we've got a really, really exclusive
Yeah, that's fresh.
debut original. That's amazing. Thank you so much for doing that. I love that. That sounded so great. When is the
Thanks.
new EP going to come out? When can people look for new music from you?
We are shooting for September.
Okay. Well, everybody, please do yourself a favor and get on the brigade here. Join the brigade
Join the brigade!
and become, familiarize yourself. Join this Cowboy Princess Brigade community. They're just really incredible. See them live. Ruby, thank you so much for joining the podcast. It's been such a pleasure talking to you. I certainly hope to see you live again real soon.
I sure hope so, Rob. Thank you so much for having me. Hi, I'm Ruby. I'm the lead singer of Cowboy Princess Brigade, and my ETA is I try and write something every single day.
My knee-jerk reaction in the morning is to run.
Oh, hello.
We're Charming Disaster.
I'm Elia.
I'm Jeff.
And our Everything After is we are immortal vampires.
Also, we're a band called
Charming Disaster.
Remember?
And we have a brand new album out called The Double.
Available everywhere.
So check it out. Follow your dreams, kids.
Don't give up.